Despite his best efforts, Rosa succumbs to her injuries, but with her dying breath, asks Jim to take her son to Chicago, where they have family. Reluctantly, Jim agrees to honor Rosa's dying wish. He feels an unexpected sense of responsibility for Miguel, but is also wary, knowing the journey will be dangerous. He decides to avoid calling the authorities, fearing they'll separate him and Miguel or deport the boy. This mission goes against Jim's usual desire to stay out of trouble, but as they set off for Chicago, he's determined to protect Miguel at all costs. Their journey represents a moral turning point for Jim, and despite his gruff demeanor, his protective instincts begin to surface. Mauricio and his cartel members are relentless in their pursuit, determined to retrieve Miguel to prevent him from talking. Mauricio is particularly ruthless, leaving a trail of violence in his wake as he tracks the boy and Jim across state lines. The cartel's resources and connections make them a constant, looming threat. They manage to get information on Jim's truck and monitor their progress, adding tension to Jim and Miguel's journey. Mauricio's character is cold-blooded, viewing Jim as a mere obstacle, and his menacing presence drives the urgency of Jim's mission. As they travel, Jim and Miguel's relationship develops. Initially, they barely communicate due to the language barrier and Jim's lack of patience. However, as they spend more time together, Jim becomes more protective, and Miguel slowly trusts him. Jim even teaches Miguel some survival skills, including gun handling, preparing him for the potential dangers ahead. Their bond deepens as they share their respective hardships, Jim's loss of his wife and financial troubles, and Miguel's fear and grief over his mother's death. Jim's tough exterior starts to soften, and he becomes almost like a surrogate father to Miguel, promising to keep him safe. Throughout their journey, Jim and Miguel face multiple attacks from the cartel. In one scene, they're ambushed at a motel, forcing Jim to rely on his sharpshooting skills and combat experience to protect Miguel. The intense action scenes highlight Jim's resilience, but they also take a toll on him, revealing his age and the limits of his endurance. The film emphasizes Jim's resourcefulness and determination, as he cleverly uses the environment to his advantage in several skirmishes. Each encounter also intensifies Miguel's understanding of the danger they're in, making him increasingly dependent on Jim for survival. Their journey is further complicated when they encounter a local sheriff who offers assistance, but this ultimately leads the cartel closer to them. Jim's mistrust of law enforcement deepens, and he becomes wary of accepting help from anyone, fearing that they may inadvertently lead Mauricio and his men straight to them. For new action, at this point, thriller story, Jim realizes the true extent of the cartel's influence and how difficult it will be to protect Miguel. However, his commitment to Rosa's dying wish and his promise to Miguel keep him motivated, even as the odds seem insurmountable.